It is Wednesday night again. Time really flies these days. The more reason to make it as memorable as possible. There is a new hand on the button in the fight against crime. An acting IGP mounts the saddle with the weight of expectation on his shoulders. Owerri, the Imo State capital, is still trying to recover from the shock of the attacks on the police headquarters and the correctional facility there. The people share first-hand experience on the attacks with the NTA. Also tonight, we have the story of a crop which brings tears to the eyes when peeled, but makes its farmer smile to the bank when sold. It is the World Health Day, so we have a healthy dose of stories from the health sector, from things to strike out of your diet to resident doctors on strike. And let's get down to business. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umarbuba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo this Wednesday decorrected the acting Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, at a brief ceremony held at the presidential villa in Abuja. The Vice President urges the acting Inspector General of Police to put up his best to salvage and protect the dignity of the Nigerian police force by being a bridge builder between the police and the people. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
The end of a race and the beginning of another at a time described as turbulent, considering the huge security challenge facing the nation. But for the 58-year-old man from Yobe State and graduate of Bayero and Maiduguri universities, whose wealth of experience in the Nigerian police force spans almost 33 years, Deputy Inspector General Usman Alkali Baba is considered by the President as a professional who is up to the task and thus chosen from among other equals. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo decorates him as an acting Inspector General of Police at this event to take up the driving seat of having a sane and crime-free society.
I therefore welcome you as a key partner to this administration's comprehensive program of reform aimed at repositioning the Nigeria Police Force as a modern, responsive, and citizen-centered law enforcement service. We all expect that you will justify the confidence that Mr. President has reposed in you in naming you to lead the force in these times.
Supported by Minister of Police Affairs, Maigari Dingiyadi, the Vice President gives him the necessary advice he needs to succeed as he resumes his new post.
Under your leadership, the force must live up to all of the highest standards of professional conduct and compliance with the rule of law. It must significantly improve the welfare and working conditions of its officers while rapidly scaling up its forensic, logistical and operational capacities to meet today's challenges. You must stamp out the excesses and abuses and the culture of impunity demonstrated by some elements of the force which provoke public outrage against the institution.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo thanked the former Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, for a job well done, stressing that the Nigerian people will forever remember his great contributions towards the improvement of the Nigerian police force.
We still require everybody to be part of policing this country, and that is why the emphasis on community policing will continue, and the emphasis of collaborating with all other sister agencies will continue, and we hope to have a better situation very soon.
The decoration ceremony was witnessed by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, and other top officers of the police force. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the immediate past Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has transferred the symbol of authority to the acting Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba. Francis Form reports that the acting IGP acknowledged the enormous task before him and gave assurance on the restoration of the primacy of the force in the internal security architecture of the country.
A quarter guard parade to signal the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. The same force, the same brief, but a new resolve with the acting IGP, Usman Alkali Baba, at the tips of the spear against criminality. The top brass of the police welcomed the new helmsman with the needed vigor for the daunting task ahead. At the IGP conference room, the old gave way to the new as a symbol of authority was handed over, and with it, the weight of expectation in Nigeria's fight against crime and criminality.
I am mindful of the yearnings of Nigerians for a policing system that will not only assure them of their safety, but treat them with civility and hold their human rights sacred. I promise to provide the highest possible level of professional and responsive leadership to meet this desired objective or aspiration. However, I call on the citizens to change their mindset and be prepared to work with us in the interest of community safety and national security.
Born on the 1st of March 1963 in Gaidam local government area of Yobe State, the acting IGP brings to the force what many believe is a track record of courage, discipline, and deep knowledge of policing dynamics. He is expected to hit the ground running in the efforts to douse the fires of crime in the country. Francis from NTA News.
In the meantime, the chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum and governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, has emphasized the need to improve the capacity of the nation's military to enhance security and peace. Governor Fayemi said this while granting audience to the General Officer Commanding 2 Mechanized Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Gould Chibisi, at the Government House, Ado Ekiti. Kola Adibubui reports.
Governor Fayemi, who noted that the role of the military in protecting territorial integrity of the country cannot be underrated, stressed that a lot needs to be done in strengthening the capacity of the military for a peaceful and varied society. He commended efforts of the force in counter-terrorism and assured of his support in ensuring its operations are successful.
For us, we will continue to try our best to support the military in order for them to be able to assist us.
Major General Gould Chibuzi noted that the familiarization visit became imperative to strengthen military ties with the state government in achieving peaceful society. The General Officer Commanding was on tour of the 32 Artillery Brigade, Akure, to boost morale of officers in the zone. In Ado Ekiti, Kola Adibabuyi, NTA News.
And a combined team of the military and other security agencies have conducted a clearance operation at Ntak Ikot Akman in Upper Ibom State to flush out the miscreants. A statement by the Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yerima says the operation successfully dislodged criminals with support of the air component of the operation. Brigadier General Yerima notes that normalcy has been restored in the area. And residents of Owerri have condemned in strong terms the attacks on the custodial center Owerri and Imo State Police Headquarters, describing it as unjustifiable. According to the people, no level of provocation should warrant such level of destruction. Let's now join Loretta Rinze Igwim for details.
Monday, the 5th of April 2021 will remain indelible in the minds of Owerri residents as they woke up to the news of the attack on the Nigerian Correctional Service and the Imo State Police Command Headquarters by gunmen. The attack, which resulted in severe damage of facilities and release of inmates of the custodial center, has continued to generate reactions from Nigerians. Some residents of Owerri, on their part, describe the action as condemnable as it portends danger to the peace, unity and security of the country.
The intention mainly is to cause confusion and make the people vulnerable and distract the concentration of His Excellency.
It's already condemnable because it's not good. What is not good is not good. In as much as we're looking for one thing or the other, I think negotiation matters a lot and dialogue.
Because this kind of things to happen, for us here, we don't want it and we don't like it. And for me, it's about somebody biting off his nose to spite his face.
There's no problem without a solution. So I believe that the government should use, through its intelligence agencies, try and reach out.
The community watch, neighboring watch, so that whatever that you leave at neighbor, what is your next door business? Because for these people, they lodge in a hotel, right? They plan these things. So what is the role of the Indians? What is the role of the President General? They don't just wake up one day and plan and go and attack correctional center. There was somewhere planning it.
Meanwhile, federal government delegation and others from relevant agencies have continued to visit the affected facilities to assess the extent of damage with a view to addressing them. In Owerri, Loretta Arinze-Wim, NTA News.
And from Owerri, we head to Gombe. The patience exhibited by victims of the February violent protest in Iliri local government area of Gombe State has yielded some succor. Emmanuel Akila reports that 2,000 people have been given relief materials to cushion their immediate losses, while compensation is underway.
In the aftermath of the protests in Iliri, when Governor Inwe Yahaya visited to comfort the victims, he promised compensation to those who lost their property and begged them to avoid reprisals. With peace now in Iliri, the state government has taken the first step to keep its promise as relief materials are given to the victims to cushion their immediate losses.
Ubangiji Allah ya saka mishi da alheri. Allah biya mita bukatunsa duka.
By seeing what is now happening in Biliri, everybody knows that normalcy has restored in Biliri. Everything is going successful. We really thank God. We appreciate my governor.
The next step is to help those who lost their means of livelihood to get back to business.
The government will come in again to pay some compensation to the victims, which I'm sure the committee is, going around and doing the required assessment for the compensation.
With the new Maitangle now installed, what the government is calling for is support to the monarch for sustainable peace and development of not only Biliri local government area, but the state and country at large. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
It is said that security does not just happen. It is the result of consensus and investment. It is on this basis that a strategic town hall meeting in the historic city of Kaduna is expected to bring stakeholders to rub minds on a broad-based theme, setting benchmark for enhanced security and national unity in Nigeria. The one-day event is organized by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigach takes a look at expectations.
Incidences of ethno-religious clashes, intolerance, farmers-herders conflict being experienced, and emerging challenges of Boko Haram, insurgency, kidnapping are some of the challenges threatening the unity of the country and its continued existence as one indivisible nation. Again, stakeholders are on the same page with organizers about building an elite consensus on the security, unity, indissolubility, and peaceful coexistence of Nigeria, believing that the initiatives worked in the past.
In a bigger Nigeria, we are stronger politically, economically, and socially. And that is why we are powerful. So my appeal to Nigerians is let's continue with this our unity for the purpose of developing our country both politically and socio-economically.
The elites should be sincere to themselves and do all that is within their own means to assist the cause of governance in order for the polity to be stable and people to live in peace with one another, regardless of differences in ethnicity and religion. We have to work hard to build mutual trust and respect amongst our diverse ethnic and religious persuasions.
If you look at all the agitation and what I do, issue of secession, it's not true. It's just an empty talk. You understand? Because if you look at how Nigeria were highly integrated, isn't it? You look at most of the expenditure and the expenses of the Baro ethnic group that made of the Nigerian state. What do you think? Those who made investment now they will promote the secession of Nigeria or the evils from Nigeria. It's not possible.
The proposed meeting is also expected to develop concrete implementable solutions. To speak to the issues are presenters and discussants selected from geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Well, thank you, Suleiman. And to be a part of that town hall meeting tomorrow, you can join it via Zoom with the ID 83370489228 and passcode 800572. The meeting begins at 10 o'clock in the morning. And exactly 27 years today in history, thousands of lives in Rwanda were consumed by ethnic motivated cleansing sparked by a radio broadcast. Abdullahi Aji examines the lessons of this day, which many condemned in its entirety.
On 23 December 2003, the United Nations General Assembly agreed to celebrate this day on 7 April every year. The day, globally recognized as the International Day of Reflection on the Genocide in Rwanda, remains one of the greatest nightmares to human life in Africa and indeed the world, where in just 100 days, 800,000 women, men and children were massacred in senseless ethnic and political cleansing between the Hutus and Tutus, which was sparked by a radio broadcast.
Listen to me, good people of Rwanda. Terrible news. It's true. Horrible news. Our great president is murdered by the Tutsi cockroaches. It is time to clear the brush, good Hutus of Rwanda. We must cut the tall trees. Cut the tall trees now.
On this day, many people around the world hold memorial as a mark of respect for the innocent lives lost during the inglorious period. The day is also a time for diplomats and key community figures to talk with communities about the atrocities of genocide.
The only way to truly honor the memory of those who were killed in Rwanda is to ensure that such events never occur again. Preventing genocide and other monstrous crimes is a shared responsibility and the core duty of the United Nations. The world must always be alert to the warning signs of genocide and act quickly and early against the threat.
Our people should develop attitudes that will help us be more proactive. When people start complaining, that is the point where intervention must happen.
There are so many violent conflicts around us, but we mustn't kill and destroy each time we disagree.
Experts say the historic lessons and the Rwandan genocide for countries and regions of the world is to nip in the bud early warning signs of ethnic discrimination and comments that incite one group against another. In Abuja, Abdullahi Hajia, NTA News.
Threat to the nation's security architecture is promoting advocacy for a comprehensive review and kinetic approach to tackle criminal elements terrorizing parts of the country. Guests on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live are seeking a paradigm shift to nip in the bud the trend of violent attacks on national peace and development. Abakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The strive to return Nigeria to the path of sustainable peace by crushing the remnant of insurgents and other outlawed groups is said to be sabotaged by unconventional forces.
And we ask,
these development analysts say they require a strategic and kinetic approach to contain the growing threat to national peace and prosperity of the Nigerian state.
There is a purpose for this nation. The greatness cannot be underplayed. State actor can come out with military-grade weapons to
to attack a hardened facility like a police command or a correctional service, that is a clear attack on the integrity of the state.
Criminals live in us. They live within us. They are our kids, they are our brothers, they are our children. And we need to know who they are.
On the huge government investment in the gas sector, experts see the execution of gas projects aimed at stimulating industrial revolution and national development as the right step in the right direction.
Gas is the future of this country, and there are three key reasons I would say so. It will do for us what crude oil did not do for us. Crude oil delivered revenues to the economy, and therefore, even while it delivered 95% of our revenues, accounted for only 10% of our GDP. But gas is an enabler. Gas will generate electricity that will then transform this country. Gas is an enabler for industrialization.
That this administration has been very intentional about is to increase that utilization from 30% objective today to about 70% in the medium term.
Nigeria has become a net exporter of fertilizers because of the gas utilization, because of the gas availability.
Both the infrastructure and the gas expansion that is required within the domestic economy. That's only when we can get the multiplier effects.
The discussants are of the opinion that successful actualization of the decade of gas will further enhance investment growth rate and increase the gross domestic product by 25%, which is far above the crude oil benchmark. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The latest installment of the APC tripartite consultative committee meeting came up this Wednesday at the presidential villa in Abuja, with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presiding. The forum continued its review of some policies of the APC administration aimed at ensuring relief and succor to the people. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that President of the Senate, who briefed the press after the meeting, says the forum believes that at every given moment, policies and government should be reviewed to ensure that they are effective and meet the desired objectives. The meeting received briefing from the APC Caretaker Committee led by Governor of Yobe State, Memala Buni, on the revalidation and re-registration exercise going on in the country.
The party leadership has done a tremendous job, and they are doing very well in the area of ensuring that every Nigerian who desires to pick a card through registration as a member of this party is given the opportunity to do so. And we believe that at the end of the day, the APC will have more than half of Nigerians registering as members. We also had the briefing on the possible timetable for the activities of the party in the area of holding congresses and the convention eventually, but that will be exactly at a subsequent meeting where the National Working Committee or the Caretaker Committee would have approved of the exercise, which the party will report to this committee.
The President of the Senate said the party is becoming more organized and that the stability this has brought would put the party in a better position to win coming elections. And coming up on News Extra, African leaders step up act on climate change, make strong case that challenges carbon-emitting countries to provide the necessary funding support. As correspondent gives us insight into factors considered as the clog in the wheel of progress in the deployment of the technology that could make traffic congestion in Apapa become a thing of the past. Hang in there for details when we return. You're welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari has promised Nigeria's support for the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program developed to scale up financing for climate change adaptation in Africa. The president was speaking at the virtual leaders' dialogue on the Africa COVID climate emergency convened by the African Development Bank and the Global Center for Adaptation. Onenge Fineface reports.
Although Africa contributes only 3% to global carbon emission,
It is the most hit by the effects of climate change, which costs the continent $15 billion every year and could rise to $40 billion by 2040. President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Oyama, wants the African Adaptation Acceleration Program to further boost Nigeria's adaptation priority.
Being one of the most vulnerable nations, Nigeria will not hesitate to leverage on this program to forestall the exacerbating impact of climate change.
Africa is one of the most vulnerable continents to climate change and climate vulnerability, a situation that unfortunately has been aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
We cannot wait until this silent crisis reaches pandemic levels before we act. We have to act now and do so with gusto. For failure to act now will be catastrophic.
On its part, the African Development Bank, convener of the Virtual Leaders Dialogue on Africa COVID Climate Emergency, is already making progress on climate adaptation financing, but insists that developed countries must fulfill promises made to developing nations.
It is time for developed countries to meet their promise of providing $100 billion annually for climate finance. And a greater share of this should go to climate adaptation.
I ask that by COP26, we have concrete proposals on the table to make access to climate finance easier and faster, including for African nations. Support for climate adaptation in Africa is crucial.
Investment and trade in key environmental goods and services can make climate adaptation much more affordable for Africa.
The Leaders Dialogue received commitments from several African heads of government, the International Monetary Fund, the African Union, World Trade Organization, United States of America, among others. Onengie Fine Face, NTA News.
Thank you, Onengie. As the world marks another World Health Day, the World Health Organization wants world leaders to address the root of inequalities in the provision of healthcare services to ensure that everyone has access to good health and quality health services where and when they need them. The theme for this year's celebration is Time to Build a Fairer and Healthier World. Basi Itaipang takes a look at the 2021 World Health Day in the face of the coronavirus pandemic.
Health is a fundamental human right. Every person deserves to live a healthy life, regardless of their age, gender, ethnicity, disability, economic situation, or employment. Health experts regret that progress in tackling health disparity has been slow worldwide, especially in countries where people are experiencing emergencies and conflict with large number of displaced people.
The World Health Organization has for many years concerned itself with the health and well-being of populations spread across member states.
April 7 is therefore set aside as World Health Day to draw the attention of world leaders to make healthcare services available to everybody, no matter the location.
Draws attention to our shared humanity and the essence of global solidarity.
This year's celebration also focuses on the COVID-19 pandemic, which report says has had grave consequences for people already experiencing inequities, with estimated 124 million more people pushed into extreme poverty in the last year. A key challenge in overcoming inequities, experts say, is limited data showing who is being missed and why. And to address this, national health information systems need to capture age, sex, and equity stratified data that can be used to inform decision and policy making. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
And following the strike action embarked upon by the National Association of Resident Doctors, the federal government has stated that while the process of implementation of policies may have been hampered by a few bottlenecks, it remains committed and resolute in meeting the demands of Nigerian health workers. These were the high points of discussions by guests on Good Morning Nigeria while discussing the ongoing strike embarked upon by resident doctors. Daniel Adiri tells us more.
Asking for legitimate demands, paid
the house officers their remunerations, pay the members on gift mix their remunerations, give us a better hazard allowance.
We have moved from our own end to the labor end because a kind of dispute, has been declared. Yes, some of the demands of these, younger colleagues, they are legitimate. We are not disputing that. But we are saying that the way we go about meeting these demands, we need a lot of patience in the system and a lot of understanding. Government paid 32 billion for 3 months. 32 billion. Dr. Mamona will tell you what was in the COVID budget. For it was 20 billion. We started paying and we couldn't go around. And I had to make a special case. Fought in the Economic Sustainability Committee because there is no money. And Minister of Finance had to go outside the COVID budget of 500 to get another 12 billion for the payment. The federal government of Nigeria, in the wake of COVID, instituted a group life insurance for health workers, 9.3 billion. That is what the government paid to 13 insurance companies to insure the group life for health workers and even other workers.
While the ongoing strike embarked upon by resident doctors lingers on, government has again reiterated its stand in ensuring full implementation of the Memorandum of Actions for Health Workers. However, stakeholders in the health sector believe issues ranging from discrepancies in agreement to slow implementation of agreed policies be duly deliberated and mutually agreed upon so as to avoid issues of incessant strike actions.
I'm not saying that the strike should not be called off. NMA wants the strike called off. But what NMA is saying and what NAD is saying is that government should put their act together and do the needful.
Acknowledging the efforts of government thus far in provision of better welfare packages for healthcare workers, they called for a more efficient and fast-track process of policy implementation. In Abuja, Daniel Aderiye, NTA News.
Let's now talk about food and eating habits. There have been concerns raised about food and eating habits among Nigerians. The bad eating habits the Federal Ministry of Health says are responsible for the high cases of iron deficiency and anemia in the country. Nestle, a renowned food production industry that has been in Nigeria for the last 80 years, is leading a campaign against iron deficiency. Musa Baba Aliu tells us more.
Good food, good life has been the slogan of Nestle Nigeria, a processing company that has been in the country for more than 58 years. And this is the reason why the corporate organization is concerned over the high cases of iron deficiency among children and pregnant women.
All Nigerians across the life cycle have optimal nutritional status, and particularly the vulnerable groups.
Within our organization, we've adopted fortification as a strategy. So over 80% of our portfolio, the products that we manufacture and sell across this region, is fortified.
The campaign is not all about processed food and pharmaceutical products, but encourage eating food that are naturally fortified with iron like vegetables, beans and fruits.
Just soya beans. We have egusi. Did you know that? Egusi, iron dense, iron rich.
The Federal Ministries of Agriculture, Health and that of Women Affairs are to join in the campaign as the ministers recognized Nestle Nigeria's initiative.
Federal government will continue to partner with the private sector, civil society organizations to support Nestle in the Live Strong with Iron campaign.
We will try to see how we can form a coalition towards making sure that iron gets into meals.
Nestle Nigeria says its corporate social responsibility is impacting on more than 14,000 people in 3 major areas of nutrition awareness, community development, and climate mitigation. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliu, NTA News.
In another development, Nigeria has demonstrated more readiness to further deepen multilateral cooperation with the D8 member nations to achieve her development aspirations. This was at the 19th meeting of the D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation, held online. Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema, who reiterated Nigeria's commitment to the organization, urged member nations to fully utilize the technology transfer and exchange network platforms to promote sustainable development.
Is another progressive initiative that would undoubtedly assist member states' quest to achieve the sustainable development goals of ending hunger, achieving food security, improving nutrition, and promoting sustainable agriculture.
Meeting, the minister presented Ambassador Isiaka Abdul Qadir Imam as Nigeria's nominee for the post of the Secretary General of the organization. D8 is an organization for development cooperation with membership comprising Bangladesh, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Turkey. The objectives of D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation are to improve member states' position in the global economy, diversify and create new opportunities. The seasonal rainfall predictions about the Nigeria Meteorological Services Agency's climate comes with peculiar consequences and advantages. Oftentimes, these predictions aid early preparations and proactive strategies by stakeholders to manage outcomes. As a result of this, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has convened an expert technical committee meeting to analyze the 2021 seasonal climate predictions to reduce exposure to disaster. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
The 6 Centers of Disaster Risk Management and Development Studies will surely reflect the outcome of what we are doing in the next few weeks.
Every year, farming activities and flood management usually depend on seasonal rainfall predictions by the Nigerian Meteorological Services Agency, NIMET. According to the predictions, 2021 is expected to experience normal to above normal rainfall. This technical meeting attracted experts from across the country who converge to deliberate extensively and come up with an effective mechanism that will allow stakeholders at federal, state and local government levels to prepare adequately to mitigate and respond to anticipated climate risks and secondary hazards. Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, Air Vice Marshal Muhammadu Muhammad said, the agency will continue to encourage and promote effective cooperation.
This gathering has become more relevant considering our past experiences of unprecedented flood and other disasters that had affected several states of Nigeria and wreaked havoc on communities and drastically affected our collective disaster resilience.
The meeting is also expected to deliberate on the new approach of disaster management, which focuses on being proactive rather than reactive. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
Now, most concrete jungles today were once forest areas with rich histories, many of which have been eroded with deforestation in Lagos. For instance, do you know a rare species of buffalo once existed in Lekki, the Ajaxes? Well, Jennifer Igwe is on standby to tell us more about the animal and why a section of an urban forest in Lagos is dedicated to it.
The pristine mangrove swamp forest is a 20-acre green area in Lekki, Aja, Lagos. It is one of the surviving forests in the metropolis with its fast-paced development that births new estates on the go. Where the forest exists, the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway and environs, decades ago used to be noted for the African water buffalo, Efon. Today, it is totally extinct, but the Lukfasi Park, where the forest exists, there is a picture there, a reminder of the fact that
there was a time buffaloes existed in this area. The African water buffalo is classified among the big 5 African animals. Decades ago, according to research by conservationists, we had them in Lagos.
Because it's a very meaty animal and has a lot of flesh, it was a prime target for people who wanted to put meat inside their cooking pot. And when more people came, population explosion, it was a very, very easy target. There it is in the water. And unfortunately, we've wiped it out.
There is an area along Lekki-Ekpe Expressway called Iguefo, which translates to forest of buffaloes. So I headed there to meet with indigents of the community. 68-year-old Alhaji Musiba Olukolu was born in Iguefo and has lived all his life there. He told me an interesting story his father shared with him, which he claimed was narrated to him by his grandfather.
What make Iguefo be Iguefo today? That is a buffalo being the water for them. First of all, do that one near my own father's house, but the water is not okay. They leave the place, go with other place Orioni. The buffalo go there. When the buffalo go there, it dig ground till it get better water.
Alhaji Olukolu also talked about the metamorphosis of his community from a forest area to congregation of buildings and estates, and key incentive that fired it.
Any land facing express like this now is 1-something million. From there now, if I get two land, 4 lands here with like 1 acre, I might say I would like to sell now.
Environmentalists, including the Lagos state government, are bent on ensuring forests in Lagos do not end up someday as concrete jungle and species in them do not go extinct like the African water buffalo. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Sure, an interesting one there, I must say. What is worth doing is worth doing well. That is why Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is applauding the roads rehabilitation projects by the Imo state government, describing it as being in sync with federal government's policy on achieving safer roads. He gave the commendation at the inauguration of the newly rehabilitated Dick Tiger Road in Owerri. Bright Ebuchuo has details.
The 3-kilometer Dick Tiger Road covers over 10 streets and had been in a very deplorable state for close to 20 years. The road therefore attracted the attention of the Imo State government in view of its economic importance. Vice President, while inaugurating the road, lauded Governor Hope Uzodinma for his determination in repositioning Imo State, noting that there can be no meaningful economic growth without infrastructural development.
Anyone who perpetrates violence does not represent the progressive mindedness of the good people of this state and this region. And I call on all of us to come together to resist any attempts to turn progress and peace at this zone is set to experience to conflict and disruption.
Governor Hope Uzodinma restates that the vision of his administration is to ensure easy movement of goods and services across the 27 local government areas of the state, as it will boost commercial activities and real estate.
We've become the torchbearer of the party, spreading the gospel of development with our sterling performance as a standard bearer. By 2023, when there will be another opportunity for the people to choose a party of their choice, I have no doubt in my mind that the entire people of Southeast would gladly embrace APC.
The Dick Tiger Road is one out of the others being constructed across the 27 local government areas of Imo State. In Owerri, Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
Insincerity and lack of enforcement are major challenges militating against effective implementation of electronic call-up system designed for management of truck movement with a view to finding a permanent solution to traffic congestion in Apapa, Lagos. Musa Toliot reports on the nagging traffic and the way forward.
The indiscriminate parking of trucks on bridges around Apapa has continued unchecked. This simply shows non-compliance with the truck park initiative and total disregard to the electronic call-up system aimed at finding a permanent solution to the challenge of truck congestion around Apapa and its environs. Allegation of counterfeit e-call-up tickets in circulation is also rife.
Before you go out here, NTA must sign the ticket. But they put some other people outside there signing the ticket, and they were crossing with it with a fake signed ticket.
Sustained enforcement may have also taken the back seat as the presence of the trucks on the bridges continues to bring untold hardship on other road users.
If they could do it for 1 week, then they could continue doing it so that this e-call-up can be effective.
I dey go Apapa now. I won't go carry fish now. I don't turn like 3 times now before I enter now because only container now, block road now.
Even though myself, I'm not very happy as I hear. I'm supposed to be going straight.
Diversion occasioned by the work being carried out on the bridge in Marine Beach adds to the chaotic traffic situation. Importers and freight forwarders want the federal government to expedite action on multimodal transportation system to check sharp practices in and around the ports complex.
Our waterways, the barge operations need to be enhanced. You know, these are things to be done. The river ports, like the Onitsha River Port, and that should be opened up.
In view of the fact that believing that government is looking at the rail system to function in the next 6 or 7 months so that it will complement the effort of the road and it will reduce the gridlock we have on our road.
The electronic call-up system was launched on the 27th of February 2021 by the Nigerian Ports Authority with commitment by the Lagos State government to provide enforcement support to the initiative. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
So far, so good. We take another time out at this point, and when we return, beyond the flavor and health benefits, our package on onions is one that would stimulate your interest in onion farming and all the other economic viability of the super vegetable. So stay with us. Great to have you back on News Extra. Let's talk business. International Monetary Fund IMF 2021 policy agenda to prioritize vaccine rollout and recovery as NSE All-Share Index slightly climbed to end Wednesday session on a positive note. Let's join Musa Abubakar for details on business news. So take it away.
Thank you, Fatima. International Monetary Fund IMF says its 2021 policy agenda to put the global economy back on track highlights 3 priorities, which include fair shot of COVID-19 and recovery, as well as fair shot at the future. The managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, stated this at the 2021 virtual spring meetings of the World Bank and IMF.
And distribution and steering clear of export controls. Once the health crisis is over, governments should gradually scale back support programs and scale up targeted hiring subsidies and retraining and reskilling. This is particularly important for low-skilled workers, youth and women who have borne the brunt of the crisis. Viable small businesses need more help through equity injections and better restructuring procedures. And once the recovery is firmly underway, governments need to ground fiscal policy in credible medium-term frameworks.
Another equities market is a boost for investors at the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the all-share index closing in green at the end of the day's trading. The all-share index added 0.02% at 39,774.03 points, a market capitalization at 20.2 trillion naira. 356.4 million shares worth 4.1 billion naira were traded in 6,130 deals. Zenith Bank, Access and Transcorp are the most active shares with a combined volume of 125.1 million shares valued at more than 1.4 billion naira. And that wraps up business news. It's back to you.
I should take it away. All right, thank you. Rethinking investments in the non-oil sector could not have come at a better time following the exposure of vulnerabilities by COVID-19 in the economy. The Bank of Industry is matching funds with Kebbi State to develop small and medium enterprises in the state across sectors. But what does Kebbi State have to offer? Leah Katimbabatinde in this report has the answer.
Kebbi State is synonymous with rice production and its value chain, contributing massively to the rice revolution in the country. As a campaign for a non-oil-driven economy intensifies, Kebbi is building on relationship already established with the Bank of Industry to open up the space for investment in bankable projects for already identified sectors in the state. Leveraging on the opportunities brought to the fore by the coronavirus pandemic, Governor Atiku Bagudu gives assurance that Kebbi State will deliver on target and bridge the inequality gap.
We believe they have a lot to offer to us. We are promoting entrepreneurship, particularly small and medium enterprises in a number of areas, particularly processing, mining, renewable energy, and promotion of gender, because in Kebbi State, like in many states of Nigeria, there are very many hardworking women.
Managing Director of the Bank of Industry, Olukayode Pito, says the Bank of Industry was able to raise over $2 billion last year, supported by its robust technological infrastructure due to lockdowns across the world. The matching fund program is currently available to about 25 states.
For as many good projects that are bankable, that Kebbi can come up with, we'll partner with them, even though we don't lend to state governments. So when we say we are partnering with Kebbi, we are working with them to encourage the entrepreneurs in Kebbi.
He says any state interested in the program, which primarily targets SMEs, should put funds down and the Bank of Industry will match it. In Abuja, Leah Katung-Babatunde, NTA News.
A few months ago, onions were hotcake in the markets and farmers were smiling to the banks, but now scarcity of the commodity has become a source of worry to onion dealers in Kebbi State. To this end, attention of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Kebbi State government are being drawn to the need for modern storage facilities to reduce yearly wastage. Frustration on the part of farmers and crimes. The onion farmers believe intervention in this regard will also improve revenue generation. Abdullahi Umar Ilalu was in Alero Onion Market in Kebbi State and has the situation report.
Onion is one of the most commonly consumed vegetable crops in Nigeria, as there is hardly any local Nigerian dish that does not require the use of onions in its preparation. Few months ago, December precisely, the price of onions hit an all-time high record, which was associated to scarcity and other factors. Despite being one of the major producers and market for onions in the country, a bag of onions goes for as high as 90,000 naira in Kebbi State. Growers and marketers have attributed the reduction in prices of onions to the availability of the product due to bumper harvest recorded in the state. Some of the onion marketers interviewed stated that presently a bag of onion is sold at the rate of 5,000 naira, adding that the prices may further come down as more harvest and supplies come from across the state.
If the onion come plenty, the price will come down to 2,000 naira per bag.
The Secretary, Onion Farmers Association, Aminu Usman Danware, who traced the history of onions to Danware where it was first grown in the northern Nigeria, explained that the major challenge for all onion farmers in Nigeria is the lack of modern storage facility. He said the consequence of this, there is an estimated 40% wastage of their harvest.
Need government to come and assist our people for doing these new modern storage facilities.
Conducting NTA around the barns they are building at Danware, the secretary said it took them a lot of time to source for materials being used, and each cost about 10,000 naira, adding that because of heavy wind, constant rainfall, and scorching sun, the local storage facilities cannot survive 2 cropping seasons. NTA also sought from the constructor of the barn, Malam Muhammad Danware, on what it takes him for the job. He said his workmanship is 1,500 naira per barn, but all materials should be made available. It was also revealed that each bag can contain over 20 bags of onions, and every month there is need to check the contents in order to select away those already decaying. The secretary called on the state and federal government to assist onion farmers and provide modern storage facilities to reduce wastage of onions, which will in turn increase the quantity of onions available in the market, create job opportunities for the youth, prevent market price fluctuations, and increase income of the farmers and revenues to the local and state governments. Onions are usually planted during the dry or harmattan seasons, November to January, and harvested and sold between February and April to buyers from different parts of the country. It takes 20,000 naira to load a trailer, conveying more than 500 bags. In Aleru, Kebbi State, Abdullah Omar Ilalu, NTA News.
A report just coming in says local organizing committee Edo 2020 National Sports Festival agrees to shut down the festival from 12 noon tomorrow for lack of funds, says project manager Media and Communications Edo 2020 Ebo Miahan Musa. Traders in Amwal Yam Market of Kwanpam local government area of Plateau State are counting their losses following a fire incident that destroyed their major yam market. Rinret Sylvanus Lott reports that government and NEMA officials have assessed the level of damage with a view to bringing relief to victims. Over the years, the Boal Yam Market is one of the major markets supplying yam to Plateau and its neighboring states. It was on Sunday, the 28th of March, that this yam market in Namu got razed by fire, destroying well over 100,000 mounds of yams in the market. The fire, which broke out at about noon, left many in a state of shock as investigations revealed that the fire started from this generator room close to the market. Governor Simon Lalong, saddened by the level of destruction, visited the area and encouraged the victims not to lose hope over the incident.
This disaster is coming at the time that government is trying to help farmers to promote agriculture. I encourage you not to be discouraged by this unfortunate incident.
Also in the area to sympathize with the victims and assess the level of damage were member representing Mekan Kwampan Shandam in the House of Representatives, NEMA as well as SEMA officials.
We believe in God, in whatever happens, but I think with the coming of the NEMA and the SEMA and other organizations, and I also want to call on the attention of the federal government and other NGOs that can come to the aid of these people to assist. You have seen it, even the seedlings that they are going to use in getting more of the yam, it has got bombed.
You know, it brought down items worth 10 million naira. On our own part, we came on the spot assessment to see, as a federal agency, to see how we'll be able to assist these farmers to bounce back and be able to now go back and resume back to their livelihood.
With the victims. We are all victims here, directly or indirectly. We have direct victims, which we must show our sympathy and our support to them.
The community's traditional ruler, Longjan of Namu, Safianu Alananana, appealed for peace and calm as government comes to their aid. From Namu in Kwampan, Rinret Sylvanus Lott. Really sad. Solution is now in sight in the tax and audit impasse that stalled the completion of the multi-million-dollar oil fabrication yard in Lagos State. This followed the submission of the report of an interministerial committee set up by the federal government, and Benny Adams has that.
The Snake Island fabrication yard was being built by an indigenous company, Castec Engineering Limited, with a foreign company, Adax Petroleum Development Company, as its technical partner. In 2015, Adax ran into some tax and audit issues with the federal government, which halted the contracts despite spending more than $600 million and employing more than 3,000 direct workers.
I have the pleasure and the privilege.
This event is as a result of feedback from findings by committee set up over the issue last year.
This was a project that was to extract over 19 million barrels add over 90 million barrels to our existing reserves, which would have been part of the daily national production of this country.
As an independent arbiter, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources promised to forward the recommendations to the President.
I must say that you've done a very great job. We in the Ministry of Petroleum are here as independent arbiters to ensure that there is justice in the petroleum industry. Justice for our investors and justice also for Nigerians. And I'm happy that you've done a great job. I'm going to go through your report and ensure that your recommendations are forwarded to the President and implemented.
When completed, the facility is expected to save the country foreign exchange and generate more than $33 billion over a 10-year period. Benny Adams, NTA News.
The place of gas in Algeria's energy mix is becoming more secured, with the attention this sector currently enjoys from the federal government and other key players to further drive the development of the sector. Experts say government must focus on implementing policies that can remove barriers to investment and promote domestic consumption of gas.
Nigeria sits atop an estimated 200 trillion cubic feet of proven gas reserve spread across oil-producing states in the country. It occupies the 9th position in the global ranking, with exports standing at 929,844 cubic feet. Processing this huge gas deposit into liquefied petroleum gas, liquefied natural gas, and recently compressed natural gas has given the nation a cleaner, cheaper, and readily available energy source for domestic, industrial, and automobile uses, putting domestic consumption at 664,628 cubic feet.
Our resolve has been to emplace policies and promote initiatives that support the utilization of our abundant natural gas resources.
We are also involved in establishing the storage facility for LPG, not just in the Niger Delta, but we extend our tentacles up to Kaduna, Kano, and Gombe State.
Autogas policy, national gas expansion program, and construction of Ajaokuta Kaduna Kano gas pipeline are some of the initiatives targeted at building gas infrastructure and promoting value addition.
If the petroleum industry bill is passed, some of these things will be streamlined, and it will encourage people, even the question of pricing we are talking about, the question of infrastructure, the question of taxation, all these things will be clearly streamlined, and people will then know what is in it for them.
Experts hope that the sector will, in coming days, witness more synergy, particularly between government and the private sector, that is needed to drive its expansion. In Lagos, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
The quest to deepen the understanding of the needs of the 9 states under the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, and how activities of the Commission can be more people-oriented is the reason for a one-day interactive meeting of the Commission and the civil society organizations. Osinachi Abraham reports that both parties agreed that redesigning of the NDDC master plan is key to rapid development of the region.
Seated in this hall are members of the civil society organizations and the leadership of the NDDC.
It's like the explanatory note of the NDDC.
The reason for this gathering is to ensure that the Commission provides a greener pasture region. First on the agenda is to re-strategize for a functional master plan that will drive the expected rapid development of the region.
Our natural resource
to put issues confronting the region in proper perspective, the spokesman for the civil society organizations, Ken Hensher, identified some challenges he considered as setbacks to the development of the region, such as instability in the leadership of NDDC, poor project quality, due to lack of effective monitoring and supervision, among others.
If the civil society organizations in this room had the bill of quantities, had adequate information about what projects are allocated funds for, it would be much easier, it would be easy for
for us out there to monitor exactly to what extent these projects are being delivered to the people of the Niger Delta region.
The Chief Executive Officer of NDDC, Effiong Akwa, seemed to have a good grasp of ways forward.
It's imperative for all of us to add our voice to the ongoing discourse on what to do to rebuild the broken trust between the people and government. Learn from our past experiences to help shape public opinion and perception, and possibly establish an ongoing credible platform for information transmission, information sharing, and feedback.
The interactive session had some members bear their minds on the state of the commission and what they think should be done. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Bring back the buses, a cry from those who wear the shoes and know where they pinch. We'll save the details for now and have it all when we return from this next break we're about to take. See you shortly. Thanks for staying. To achieve its mandate of national integration, the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, is working to strengthen stakeholders' support at the grassroots. Olainka Ojo reports that this is to work out development initiatives for greater impact in states and local governments.
To address some of the gaps in states and local governments with regards to the operations of the NYSC and deal with the challenges, the scheme instituted this meeting, and this is the second in its series. This forum is to review the success stories recorded at the 2019 meeting, as well as re-strategize for better ways forward. Othman Bala Adam is the Commissioner for Youth and Sports in Nasarawa State.
This is a way out for us as stakeholders to ensure that whatever that is being done to add value for the NYSC at the grassroots level.
From feedbacks received after the first meeting,
a number of states have shown greater commitment.
The Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Shuaibu Ibrahim, says, although some states have shown commitment to the NYSC through increased interventions in the area of upgrading of camp facilities, as well as prompt payment of corps members' allowances, more still needs to be done.
There are some camps now that need renovation, but most of the states now have permanent rotation camps, but we need them to be maintained. For that, at least we provide a conducive environment for the corps members. Corps members coming to your state, this is our first point of contact to your state, and perception matters a lot.
FCT administration will not relent in discharging our statutory responsibilities to the scheme.
The meeting, which had representatives from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, is expected to adopt measures that will optimize the potential of youth corps members for the benefit of their host communities and the nation at large. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Following the suspension of the school-free shuttle buses scheme in Ondo State, public school students who are the main beneficiaries of the scheme are beginning to feel the impact as they want the state government to reconsider its decision. Olubukola Aduo has the details.
These buses are 90 in number. Each of them seats 59 passengers. They formed the nucleus of the school-free shuttle buses scheme of the Ondo State government. Under the scheme, the shuttle buses convey students of public schools to and from school free of charge. The scheme, which started in 2012, was a major relief to students and their parents until the music stopped in January this year.
I spent almost 200 naira for money for bike. And now I'm begging our government to bring back our shuttle.
Bring back the shuttle bus for us so that everything will go well. It will encourage us as students more to study, to be able to come to school every day, punctually, regularly.
The Oluwarotimi Akeredolu administration halted the operations of the scheme at the inception of the first term 2019-2020 academic session. The government claimed lean resources as the reason for the suspension of the scheme. NTA News learned that the state government spends over 2 million naira monthly to run the scheme.
Government is on top of the situation. We are not relenting in our efforts. As far as the department is concerned and the ministry as a whole, we are working together. We are fine-tuning how we can bring the buses back to the road.
Schools have closed for today and it's time to head for home. But going home for these public school students is now a Herculean task as they wait in the scorching sun for the few taxes, the cost of which could be prohibitive for their parents.
I know how much I spend in transport every day. Even sometimes I will not be able to carry out with my bike, but Tutu bus is helping us before.
Information got to us that a lot of parents couldn't afford the transport fare of their kids and wards to schools, which has led to some of the students not attending schools again.
All hope is not lost, as sources within government say the state government is fine-tuning the operations of the scheme even as the buses are being serviced. In Akure, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Let's take our final break for tonight. Please stay.
With the top four back in sight, Liverpool welcome Aston Villa to Anfield in what could be a tricky time for their Champions League ambition. Will it prove a costly visit for the hosts? Find out as Liverpool take on Aston Villa on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from
The death has occurred of Mrs. Beatrice Nweshudo Ibekwe. Mrs. Ibekwe died at the ripe age of 103. Until her death, late Mrs. Beatrice Ibekwe was a devout Christian and community leader. Burial arrangements, as announced by her family, indicates that a Christian wake will be held in her honor on Thursday, 8th of April 2021 by 7 p.m. at her husband's compound, Isiakbo Ozom, Agwobu Owo, Iziago local government area. Burial service will be on Friday, 9th April at Christ the King Catholic Church, Agwobu Owa by 11 a.m., followed by interment at Isiakbu Ozum Ogwobu Owa. The announcement also indicates that a Thanksgiving service will be on Sunday, 11th April at CKP by 10 o'clock in the morning. Late Mrs. Beatrice is survived by 5 children, 27 grandchildren, and 28 great-grandchildren and other relatives, amongst whom is Dr. Gina Frank Ibekwe. All the activities will be observed in strict compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols. And the death has also been announced of Mrs. Janet Awarun of Egbe, Kogi State, aged 75. A statement by the family indicates that the condolence service will take place on the 14th of April 2021 at Ekwa Church, Olorun Shogbo, Opaga Akabi, Ilorin Kwara State by 7 p.m. Service of songs will hold at her residence, Ile Luke Compound, Egbe, Kogi State by 5 p.m. on Thursday, the 15th of April. She will be laid to rest on the 16th of April 2021 at her residence by 8 a.m. Mrs. Awaruni is survived by husband, children, grandchildren, and in-laws. So let's take a look at the weather prospect for Thursday.
A warm welcome. With the dust haze episode fading away, we've been observing high temperature values over the extreme north and some parts of the central region. Kano recorded 41 degrees Celsius, Yola and Maiduguri recorded 43 degrees Celsius respectively. And as we go into Thursday, we expect increase in temperatures over the extreme north. There are prospects of thunderstorms over Calabar and Eket axis during the morning hours. Later in the afternoon, we expect isolated cases of thunderstorms over southern Adamawa, southern Taraba, Yelwa in Birnin Kebbi, a few cities in Niger State. Abuja, Benue, Lokoja should also expect some thunderstorms. Pockets of thunderstorms are also expected over the southern part of the country. And that's your weather for Thursday. I am Akemi Samara.
With the weather report, we end News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fatima Umar Buba. But before I go, remember to be a star and connect with the NTA and stand against rape and rapists. Enjoy the rest of your night.